prime example with bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't like no type of bug. I will find you, squish it, bap, squish it, got to go. But with my youngest,
but you're not running from it. You're not running from the bug. You're gonna kill the bug.
I'm gonna be ooh, and then I gotta kill it. It's very shocking to me. But my youngest, when she was a little tyke, she would mess with spiders and found them so fascinating. And luckily she went to like a Montessori school, so they used to have all the crickets and the bugs and all type of stuff. And she was so fascinated with spiders that she loved them. And I had to learn, again, sometimes you learn things from parenting. It's like, hey, hang on a second. Yeah. That's my fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go to pick her up from school and she's like, Mommy, look at this. And she's just holding, but I'm like, but you have to learn, like, that's something she likes to do. So it's okay, but again, I had to learn, stop putting my fears onto them. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Aunties podcast. I am Joe.
I'm Key.
And I'm Jay.
And today's topic is projecting your fears onto your children. Have you done that?
People do it all the time.
I think it happens consciously and subconsciously.
Let's define it. I like to define it for the people. So, what's projection? Projection is a psychological concept where someone unconsciously attributes their own feelings, thoughts, fears, or desires onto someone else. Essentially, it's like taking your own internal emotions or struggles and projecting them outward as if they belong to someone else. Subtle signs of projection or projecting fears are like controlling choices. So parents tend to do that for their kids. Or discouraging dreams, like don't you go be an entrepreneur. You better go get that job. Stop playing around.
That guaranteed check.
A parent who fears failure may be overprotective of their child to save them from the same perceived mistakes because they couldn't do something.
Because that's their unresolved issues.
That's facts
that they're putting onto their children.
They
didn't deal with
that's correct.
And they feel like their kids are going to have the same experiences, not even giving their kids a chance to go out and live their own lives.
Or it can be the flip side. They push it on so much that they're trying to live vicariously through their kids.
There you go.
Girl.
That too. Yep.
Yeah. That's some parents that don't have a life. Am I lying?
No,
because if you had a life of your own, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're not.
I've known so many mothers. I have to say mothers because that's who, that do that to their kids, that it's like, what are you doing? You living vicariously through them because it's something that you couldn't do.
Or didn't want to do. Or didn't try to do.
Don't pursue that job because it's too risky.
Or take this job or do this career
because
or do this whatever.
You're gonna get a check all the time. Never mind. And now you done messed up the kid.
What about the celebrities? Some of these kids who are celebrities, like their parents aspire to be in stardom, and they're pushing their kids out there. Sometimes these kids, or even sports, there's lots of it.
I was gonna use that.
Is the perfect example.
I was gonna use that. Projecting your aspirations. So a parent who always wanted to be an athlete might push their child into sports, even if they don't want to do it.
They don't even got the skill to do it.
Don't even want to do it.
Still trying to,
or they did it, and unfortunately their career have ended. So now they want to live it through their children. They want to see how far their children can go. I didn't make it to the NFL, but maybe you can.
And then if unless the child wants it, because there's a situation sometimes where the child does want it, but you have to make sure that they do.
But even when they do
want
that
unnecessary pressure.
Even when they do want it, you're still putting pressure on them because you still have those unresolved issues of you not succeeding in that.
Yeah.
So they got to be the best. They got to be the best.
But what about those strange situations where the kids want to be like what their father or mother did? But they want you to do better. They want you to be the lawyer or the doctor versus going into the same field as they did.
Well, most parents want their kids to do better than they did. Hopefully, they want them to do better.
Yeah, they want them, but it's also about what your child wants too.
That's
absolutely.
They might have seen what they did as a struggle or something that they want to pursue, or and.
So meaning So if I was a lawyer and my child became a lawyer, but now. Don't stop at lawyer. go run your own firm. You mean in that kind of a way?
I'm talking about, let's say there's a family business and the parents did what they did to make sure that their kids had the best of life. Mm-hmm. So now when they're in school, they don't want them to go into the family business. They want you to be a doctor. They want you to be a lawyer. They want you to go to school and be better than them.
Do something different.
Yes, but you got kids that want to follow in their parents' footsteps and do the same thing.
Oh, and they're like, they want to run a restaurant too. Like,
yes.
But they don't feel like, they must don't see them running a business that's successful. Which is unfortunate and sad because that's successful. You're running a business and it's still running and your kids want to follow in. I don't know. That's weird to me.
Yeah, I think I think the whole dynamic of parents projecting on their kids, and I really try hard not to do that. And I think I was going down the rabbit hole when my kids were younger, and not necessarily projecting, but just like really like putting pressure. Like, you got to do. I need you to do this. You got to do that, because I wanted them to do good in school, so that you can have a leg up and have opportunities, right? And then I had to realize very early on that thank God I was able to realize this before they graduated high school, but they're their own people with their own minds, and they have their own aspirations and desires. So I got to let go of whatever I thought they should be, because it's their life. You know what I mean?
Very true.
It's their life. So I had to let go. Like, you got to live. All I could do is say, I gave you the foundation, and now it's up to you to do what you need to do with it.
Right.
And I think that there's I don't want to put that. I didn't want to put that pressure, because I realized it's very easy for someone to do that, especially for someone like myself that has their own aspirations and is pretty ambitious, right? Yeah. So it's easy for me to do that, and I had to say, whoa! I had to check myself, like, what is going on? Because they're gonna live their life the way they're gonna do the things that they want to do, and it's okay.
What other ways that you can put your you can project onto your kids outside of wanting them to be career-wise, ambitious-wise? I think being afraid of things is another one. Like, don't travel the world and don't,
But
just
people like
stopping them from doing things that you never did because you were so afraid to do them, and telling them that don't do that because bad people are outside. Some things like that. People, they do these things.
Can't leave the Bronx because there's terrible and scary people out there.
You know? Then meanwhile, other people looking at the Bronx like, I ain't going over there. It's dangerous. So but you're right. Yeah. I call that like the Carrie syndrome. They're all going to laugh at you. Her mom used to say, they're all going to laugh at you.
I cannot.
It's the truth. Your mom was batshit crazy. But it was the truth. That fear. That fear of, don't do this, don't do that, don't play in the mud, you're gonna get dirty. What you think gonna happen? So let them. I think there's something to be said about letting them explore a little bit. Don't touch that, don't do this, and it starts when they're young. Like, prime example with bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't like no type of bug. I will find you, squish it, bam, squish it, got to go. But with my youngest,
but you're not running from it. You're not running from the bug. You're gonna kill a bug.
I'm gonna be ooh, and then I gotta kill it. It's very shocking to me. But my youngest, when she was a little tyke, she would mess with spiders and found them so fascinating. And luckily she went to like a Montessori school, so they used to have all the bugs and all the type of stuff. And she was so fascinated with spiders that she loved them. And I had to learn, again, sometimes you learn things from parenting. It's like, hey, hang on a second. That's my fear. So I go to pick her up from school and she's like, Mommy, look at this. And she's just holding, but I'm like, but it's, you have to learn, like, that's something she likes to do. So it's okay, but again, I had to learn, stop putting my fears onto them. It's not fair.
But you realize that some parents don't realize. Some parents know. You're right. They know exactly what they're doing.
You're right.
But then some parents don't know what they're doing. Like, one of my kids used to tell me all the time, and I don't know if this was me projecting on them or not, because I was never one. I never spent the night at friend's house or anything like that. And I really had sleepovers even at my house, and My mother and I never had a conversation about it, but it was never a desire or a want or whatever. So when my kids got old, when my kids started to socialize and have friends, your friend's coming over here.
Yeah.
You're not going over there because I don't know what's going on over there. And they would come back and say, you don't trust me. And it was not that I don't trust you. I don't know these people.
I don't know what's over there.
I don't know what's going on over there. And I think about that and I'm like, did I do something negative in that way to make them feel that I didn't trust them? Because was it something that happened to me, like in my life, that I started to do in their life to make it feel that way?
I can agree to that because I did that with the kids. But as they got older and once they were in high school, I was able to let go of the reins just a little bit. But it was also because of trauma for me. I didn't let them sleep. I'd rather the kids come over to my house and do the big slumber party in the living room with the pillows and that. But that was me projecting my fears onto them because I didn't want anything.
Yeah.
So I can attest to that. I
don't, and I think that whole "you don't trust me" thing is like such a common thing that kids can default to when you don't allow them to do something.
I didn't care whether they told me that or not. I was like, whatever, it is what it was. You're not going, but.
But it is a common thing. I've gotten that too. Don't you trust me? Yeah. It's like, yes, I trust you. I don't know the environment you're going. Then it became, you start getting well, don't you trust that I will make a good decision? Get out of my face. It's like, I do trust that you would. I just don't want you to put you in a situation where you would have to. So it's like, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's tough.
As I said, once they got to high school and I got thrown with those a few times, that was how I started getting to know the parents.
Yeah.
And there was a few of them that were single parents like I was, so it made it a little easier for me to say, all right, it's okay that you can go over there.
Yeah, I try to be a little bit open-minded with my younger one, but the older two was like, absolutely not. It's not happening. So, I mean, talk about finance, you talk about career, but also you can project like situation with debt. Like if you had don't spend the money, don't go broke, don't run up credit, don't pay anything in cash.
Scarcity mindset. Yes, you better hold on to it because you save your money. You're not gonna get any more because that's that. Nothing wrong. Listen, you save your money, yes, but life is meant to be lived too. So you can't have that scarcity mindset that I got to keep all of this because I'm never gonna get anything more. That's you know what I mean. You got to believe that. Just think in abundance. It's coming to me,
right? Because
I'm working for it. Right. That takes a lot, and a lot of parents, they do have that scarcity mindset for sure. I think the other thing too, in terms of how fear can shape your parenting style, is being that level of overprotectiveness, right? So stopping your kids from exploring, sheltering your kids from taking risk.
Taking them everywhere, Ubering them everywhere. Like back then, we was the kids' personal damn Ubers. We drove them everywhere. Yeah. Don't get on the train. Don't get on the bus. They don't know how to travel.
I did the opposite because my parents were I won't say parents. My mom wasn't as bad. But because my dad was so strict with me, not allowing me to go anywhere, I didn't do that with my kids. That was something that I said I would never do. So I allowed them to explore and do all that versus I didn't get that growing up.
Nope, drove them mofos everywhere.
No, but I also let them get on the bus and public transportation too.
Yeah, they gotta learn.
Yeah, I'm not shuffling them.
And it's easier now. Google Maps tell you how to walk, drive, take the bus, train, everywhere.
We had to figure it out, child. You be walking on 2 blocks one time in Manhattan. You be like, damn it, I gotta go this way, and then you learn Manhattan.
Exactly.
But. Yeah,
can you take me to school and the school's right down the street? No, I'm not.
No. I think the other two is like another thing that we can tend to teach our kids is that emotional avoidance, right? Or lack of communication. So when we don't communicate in an appropriate way with our kids, we're teaching them, and then they grow up to communicate the same way, and then they have issues with their partner, right? Because they don't know how to communicate, right? So discouraging vulnerability, you better toughen up, or emotional expressions, and there's a way to do that where it's not overbearing to people. But I think as a human being, we all have our vulnerabilities. Right. So I think it's okay for a child to express that. To it starts when they're little. Like even when you tell the boy, stop crying.
Yeah, stop crying. I never.
Right.
Yeah.
Toughen up, it starts there though. Or quit crying, or let them express why are you sad.
Right.
I allowed them to be. It was getting out of hand. Like,
well, it depends on how they're expressing themselves. So it's like you need to learn. But again, teaching them, hey, check your language and how you got to learn. You got all that stuff pent up. Right. Let's figure out how to get it out in a way that's not disrespectful.
Right. Yes.
But you're still getting out what you got to say. Because they got to learn that you're in life. You have to deal with people and have to learn how to talk. Yes. And if you don't learn that at a young age, you're going to grow up to be an adult that
knowing how to talk,
yelling and carrying on and not knowing how to express themselves and doing that to everybody. You're gonna meet the wrong person, and then now you got a problem, right? So
you're all these know things, how to deal with that. Like if you, a confrontation, you always if you're arguing for them on their behalf all the time, they're not gonna never know how to
fight for themselves verbally. You know. And they'll be wimps in relationships, you know. They won't be able to function. You know, and that's not so I think when we have all these projections on our kids, we're doing them a disservice.
Exactly, a disservice.
You know, we're not letting them,
especially if it's not positive projections or like positive reinforcement, things that's gonna make them be better and do better for them. It's the negative ones that are bad, right? The fear of certain things. Things have to be done this way or no way. Like you can't, and controlling stuff. You can't control everything about your kids. You can't control them. No. You're there to raise them, guide them, encourage them, motivate them, and support them.
That's what you can,
they have to live their own lives. So if you're trying to control every aspect of your child life, what is going on with you?
You don't got a life. I say it all the time because I feel there's some women that you
but they don't you don't want your child to mess up the way that you messed up.
I get that.
But you cannot.
You got to give them the foundation, like you said, and let them. Especially and we're not talking about kids that's 7, 8, and 9. There's ways you can dole it out so they can understand. Exactly. But I'm talking about if you gave them the proper foundation throughout that time frame, and now they're teenagers. They're going out and they're having debates with their friends or whatever, you know, you gotta allow them to live. Stop being a helicopter parent. Stop. Damn it, don't go on that interview with that kid. You know what I mean? Like, let them figure it out. They have to figure, because when you don't, and you croak and you're dead, they're unalive. I'm sorry, whatever. When you go, they won't be able to function.
No, they have nobody to call and go back to and ask, you know, what should I do? How should I do this? Because you're not there to help them.
You got to give them a chance to, like, let them try things on their own, you know? And sometimes I push my kids to do, you know? Like just the other week, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she was like, oh, I need to go to the dentist and this. I'm like, okay, she's 20. Call the doctor.
Right.
You know, call the doctor.
Make your appointment. Because
I'm not doing that.
First of all, this is your life. I don't have your schedule. I don't know what you got going on. If I call and make that appointment for you.
No, I'm not doing that.
And it don't work out for you, who you going to get mad at?
You are not 16.
Go call yourself.
So, because I got to start getting you into these modes. Make the appointment. Oh, something's going on in my bank account. Call the bank. You're older now. Like, you have to figure it out, because I need you to learn how to talk to these people, which you know how to do, right? But also, you don't use me as a default for something so simple like that. Like, I need you want to go to the dentist, you're nervous about saying, okay, so yes, my husband, he went in the room with her to make sure that he was asking the right questions and stuff like that. But now, even then, all the questions she had, she was asking.
Right.
You know what to do. You just want that extra because it's something you've never done before.
Something you've never done before. But also because they're used to us
not doing it. You gotta cut that umbilical cord. You gotta figure it out, because I'm doing you a disservice if I keep hovering over you.
Now, did you figure that out all for them, or did you figure that out alone as you're raising all for them? Because you have 4.
No, I figured it out with earlier on, like even with the first, right? But every kid has different needs, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like you got to figure it out. You know, like even with my son, he just went away. The youngest son, he just went away on a cruise, right? But he waited to the last minute to get his passport, thinking he could just get it like this. I said, brother, he came and said, oh, I'm going on a cruise January 3rd. It was December something, like December 4th or something. I said, where's your passport? Because I knew he needed to renew it. Right. And because he had the old one, he was a teeny bopper, right? So now he's like, "Oh, I'll do it." I said, "No, brother." Me and Richard was sitting in the bed, pillow talk. He come in the room all late, and I said, "No, you need to." I said, "When are you going?" He said, "January 3rd." I said, "Boy, you may not be going." I said, "Did you pay for that cruise yet?" He said, "It's fully paid for." Oh, you might be up shit. So he made the appointment, and again, I didn't do anything. Right. Richard was like, "Go make the appointment. go to the post office, get it rushed, you're going to pay. And he ended up paying. But my point is, like, you got to handle it. Mm-hmm. Now, another parent, let me go. I'm not doing that because I need you to learn. You have to. Now he understands. Mm-hmm. He thought, it was just like buying a plane ticket. No. Now he got it in time and he was able to go. But if we didn't tell him anything,
he would have been asked out.
You would have been, your friends would have been on that cruise, bon voyage. You would have been so upset. But I'll walk you through what you need to do, but you're going to do it. Especially when you get to that age. Like, I'm not, in your 20s, there's certain things you are going to do in your arm. I'm going to walk you through it, but I need you to take ownership and accountability. Because when you do it for yourself, you're going to feel so much better.
And another opposite of that kind of thing is like, you don't need that's another kind of projection. You don't need nobody. Figure it all out for yourself. You don't need nobody. That's a little tough. I'm gonna give you some guidance, but I just need you to execute against it. But that's how they operate. I'm gonna do everything myself. I don't need nobody. I got this. And you put that same type of projection onto your kids. Don't count on nobody because people gonna fail you.
Oh, people do that. People definitely do that.
You can't count on nobody. That's not true. You just got to find the right people you can count on. Yeah. And everything is not meant to be done alone or by yourself. If you need help, you need help. Mm-hmm. But to project that type of thing on somebody make people feel like they don't have nobody and they're all alone in the world. That's a different kind of projection.
That's a different kind of projection. And I think, too, there's a fine line between, like, a parent's aspirations for their kids and pushing them so that they can be the best, but also realizing that
controlling the whole process
they have their own individuality.
Yes.
And they can push them to be the best, but it doesn't have to be necessarily what you want them to do. It can be whatever they want to do, right? So I think there's a fine line in doing that. I think it's our job as parents to expose them to different things so they can figure out what they like and don't like, especially when at a younger age. But at some point, you gotta let them, let them fly. Let them fly and let them learn and let them, so long as they're not hurting themselves, but if you got to trust that you've given them the right foundation so that they can be okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that fear, listen, I'll be the first one to say, like, I do have certain fears when it comes to my kids. There's certain things I'm like fearful of, but I don't share that with them because I don't want them having that same fear.
Yeah. That was going to be my question.
I just don't.
How do you avoid or ensure you're not projecting your fears onto your children so that you're not sharing?
I'm not sharing.
No, keep your fears to
I keep yourself. It to myself. I think they nowadays adults they kind of know when I'm like sick to my stomach on some things, but
they don't picked up on the cues. Mom get crazy when so happens. So
it's just weird, So. And I have to stop myself, and that all comes from like my childhood trauma and stuff like that. So but I don't want that on them. I want them to explore and do things. So I just keep it to myself.
Yeah.
And maybe when they're, I don't know, older, maybe I'll share. But right now, it's just I'm gonna stick beside what I got and let them run free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, same thing. Like a lot of my fears, again, during the transition of out of my marriage and finances and how am I gonna make this happen. They never knew. Because I didn't want them to have, like, I never talk money issues with the kids because I don't want them to have those kind of things, like the scarcity mindset. Like, I don't want them to have those things because, there were times when you struggled or whatever have you. There were times when my mom struggled too. I knew it, but she never shared it with me. She never talked about it with me. But, I seen it. I seen the efforts she put in to make things happen.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure the kids probably seen some things with me too, but it was never a conversation. So I want them to feel fearful of living life and enjoying the fruits of their labor. Like, they're single, not attached, they don't have kids. So enjoy, like, be responsible, but enjoy the fruits of your labor. I have responsibilities. So but I never talked about those things with them. Fear of what I was concerned about when it came to finances. Same thing career-wise. They are pursuing their own careers. I never wanted to manage people. Still don't. They do. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you guys are doing that. Never would I say, I never want to manage people. I don't know how you guys do that. That's what I don't want to do. You guys are great. Go ahead. I love it for y'all.
I think as parents, we just have to, like exactly what you said. You got to change how you're speaking to them and how you're interacting with them.
Yeah.
so that you don't project your fears onto them. And I think also too, if you do find yourself sharing a fear with your kids, then you got to tell them where it's rooted in. So at least they know.
If you know. If sometimes you don't even know.
Well, then do the research. Figure it out for yourself. Like, why do I feel this way? Maybe it's because something your mama did. Or if you were raised by your aunt or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta figure out where it's coming from, because we're responsible for our children, how they wind up, right? To a certain degree.
To shape how it shapes
how they shape them, right? So if we don't check ourselves and our biases and in our how we project, we can screw them up.
Yeah.
We can make them less confident. We can, all those things. We can totally, if we put too much pressure on them. And that's why I said, like, my style has changed with each
child
over the time. But because I had to check myself, am I putting too much pressure? Am I, because you want them to be better than you. That's what you always want. Yes. But at the same time, I need them to be themselves
and happy in whatever choices that they make.
Yes, whatever they decide to do, be happy.
Just you want to go wrangle animals at the farm zoo, be happy in it.
Wrangle animals, baby.
Just don't be asking me for no goddamn loans. No.
But you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
I want them to be happy. I don't want them to struggle, but we sacrifice so that they can do things differently than what my husband and I have done. Right. So I'm really try hard not to put those fears on them. I can't. Now here's the deal. Can't promise, because some things you don't even have to say. They're gonna watch you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I watched my mom. Like I knew certain things. Yeah. She didn't have to say anything to me.
But they're gonna watch it and they see it. The kids they're like sponges. They're gonna pick it up, and it starts when they're young, and you notice that. You know, when you can feel like something's off with my mom. You know, you feel it.
You know, so and so's, because a lot of yours was if they were going away or traveling away from you, right? And I would imagine that at least he went off to college.
Yeah,
went away. It was like
sick. I was sick to every time they leave. I'm like, but I don't say anything. I can make myself sick. Yeah, like legit. So I just.
But they've seen that they know what when it happens. Okay, so and so's not home. Mom's a little bit different. Yeah, you know, this one's not home. Mom's a little bit different. Like they can figure that stuff out.
You just listen. You gotta figure. Like I think I told y'all the first time that Bria went to California, and she was like not even 20. I ended up going to the damn hospital, but I didn't know. I was like, I'm having a heart attack of my heart. I had them do all these tests. It was only because I had anxiety. Yeah. Because I didn't know. But at the same time, I wanted her to go and travel and do those things and have those experiences. And I never let her. She didn't know that happened until years later. Because because I felt like if I would have shared that with you at that time, that might have stopped. Maybe I shouldn't travel. I don't want that. Right. No, I need you to do that. Never mind me. I may go croak over a heart attack but it's okay. I need you to live. I'm just joking, but I'm not. You that's my fear. That's something I have to deal with.
Yeah, but it was important for you not to share that with them, because you don't want them to feel bad about you having anxiety because they're going away. No, you're feeling like they're stressing you out, but you don't want them to start to have those same behaviors when they have their kids. You want them to have the same, feel like they're supporting their kids.
Do it.
And what they want to do.
Have fun. Be free. And I feel like, listen, for you parents out there that are sheltering your kids, you gotta get a life. You gotta get a life. You gotta. And again, I'm saying this. We're using the word kids, but I'm talking about once you lay the foundation for them. Once you know that they are like young adults, you've got to let them fly.
Yes.
Let them try things.
Right.
You know, stop putting your aspirations and dreams onto them. If they want to do that, fine. But support the things that they want to do, because they may flourish in that.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And don't be a helicopter parent. Get a life. I keep saying it because when you hovering, you do not have a life. I don't know what you're doing. And if you married and you hovering,
maybe they do have a life. Maybe they have things going on. They just try to balance it all, you know.
If you are hovering and controlling I'm talking about the parents that control every aspect of their kid.
Yeah, they clearly don't have anything going on.
And you married and doing that, that's a messed up marriage.
Yeah. But then you got some that when you don't hover enough to them, you're not supporting.
No, hover the word, like you're hover, like they're hovering constantly wherever you go. They're hovering. Hovering like the hovercraft.
Every aspect of your life.
Your kid, just beyond. So you mean touching base,
beyond
checking
the years
in
that you need to be
just hovering, trying to get them to go in the right direction, or trying to be supportive and trying to give them different ways and offering suggestions on how to get there. And when you offer it, you're being too much. Right. Back up, it's you're hovering too much. So it's like a
find the balance.
Yeah.
Find the balance. Don't project on your kids, though.
That's it. Let them go. Let them live. Be free birds.
Be there for support.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.